Hi everyone, my name is RPO Sepian and I'm the English Language Arts Content Specialist for Sequoia Grove Charter Alliance. Today I'm going to walk you through how to successfully respond to a multi-select question that might appear on a state test. We're going to determine how to accurately respond. We're going to actively read and skim information to help choose the right answer. We're, of course, going to learn how to rephrase the question to increase your chances of getting it right, and we're going to continue practicing this skill in order to get better at it. So let's do a quick introduction. These multi-select questions are essentially multiple choice questions that are trying to get you to identify the question's stem as well as several options. And again, what's very tricky with these questions is you have to select all the options that are correct to get the answer correct. So in other words, on a multiple choice test, you might have A, B, C, D. You choose C as the correct answer, and we're all happy because you got it right. On these multi-select, it'll say, choose all of the following, and you have to be able to choose all of the following. So you might put A, B, and D if those are the correct choices. Of course, this is trying to address standards that help verify that you're able to have really strong reading comprehension skills and analytical skills. So let's jump in and look at a practice that I created about a camping trip. Please follow along as I read out loud. You're going on a weekend camping trip with friends to a national park known for its hiking trails and forests. You need to pack essential items in your backpack. Which of the following should you definitely include? Now for this one, I included a hint that says choose 4. So take a minute and look at the choices. There's a tent, a sleeping bag, a first aid kit, a rubber ducky and bubble bath, a life-size cardboard cutout of your favorite celebrity, a year's supply of pizza rolls, a headlamp or flashlight, a complete set of fine china for a fancy picnic. So think about this list and what are the 4 essential things? So try to hone in on that. What would be the 4? Okay. So as you decide, let's go ahead and look at the answers. As I told you already with the yellow arrow, the hint was 4. The question stem was, which of the following should you definitely include? Now, the ones with the green check marks, a tent, a sleeping bag, a first aid kit, and a headlamp or flashlight are things that come to mind as essential pieces of a camping trip. Although I know the rubber ducky is fun and it's nice to have a cardboard cutout of your favorite celebrity, we know that those are actually distractors. So this happens a lot on these tests. The distractors are made to make you think of something that you might find essential, but really are not the correct answer. So how do you get around those when you're taking a test like this? Well, I feel like a lot of times it's important to have a step-by-step process. So let's look at one again. This is one that relates to a multi-select practice for pets. So I would highly recommend this time, let's go ahead and read the question first, okay? And we'll go through this one by one. It says, according to the passage, which of the following are potential benefits of pet ownership for teenagers? Check all that apply. Now watch with this one, since I had you read the question first, and I do suggest that in a couple of my other videos, it helps prime your brain, meaning you're kind of on the lookout like a detective. What are those benefits? Okay, think of it if you're shopping online for a product and you know you want to buy an e-bike and you want it to be under like $200, you prime your brain to think, okay, let's filter out all the ones that are over 500. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this one again under the lens of potential benefits of pet ownership for teens. So follow along as I read out loud. Owning a pet can be incredibly rewarding for teens. Pets offer companionship and help reduce feelings of loneliness, which can sometimes be experienced by those studying at home. Having a pet encourages responsibility as teens learn to care for their furry friends, from feeding to grooming. Additionally, pets can help improve mental health by providing emotional support and reducing stress. The routine of walking a dog or playing with a cat during study breaks adds a healthy balance of activity and relaxation. Moreover, pets can spark curiosity and serve as real-life subjects for various educational topics like biology or animal care. Building a bond with a pet fosters empathy and nurturing skills, which are valuable life lessons. Overall, having a pet can enrich a teen's life in numerous ways, making schoolwork and daily life more fulfilling and fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and read through the choices. So we're looking for those benefits. We've got provides companionship and reduces feelings of loneliness, guarantees improved academic performance in all subjects, fosters responsibility through pet care routines, increases social interaction with peers outside the home, and offers emotional support and helps reduce stress. So again, my friends, if you need to reread, feel free to pause this video, go back and reread, and then I'm going to go over the answers right now. So let's go ahead and look. The correct answers were A, C, and E, and I highlighted in yellow the clues that your brain was searching for. We see in sentence 1, it provides companionship and helps reduce the feelings of loneliness. And then we also know it helps us develop that routine. And then letter E, offers support and helps reduce stress. Again, can it help your grades? Of course. Can it help with your social interaction? Of course. But is it in the text? And the answer is no. And that's where these distractors come in, because maybe you have a pet and it has helped you get your grades higher because you're less stressed. But for these questions, students, please be sure that you're reading exactly what's there. Don't try to read between the lines and say, well, for me, my grades went up. Well, therefore, everyone with a dog, their grades are going to go up. Or social interaction. When I walk my dog, I see all of my neighbors outside. Those are all true. But again, it has to be, as it says here, according to the passage, not according to your experience. But save all those thoughts, because down the road, you might have a performance task on this topic, and you can definitely build in that real life experience. So let's go ahead and try with an example from the text, the actual test. It says, start here. Focus on the question stem is one of the steps that I recommend. Next, understand implied meaning. In other words, what's the implication of the text that you're reading? What are they implying? Number 3, eliminate the distractors, which we talked about. And 4, look for synonyms and related concepts. Lastly, evidence first, then answer. So let's go ahead and practice this application for this question. So this is an actual question from a state test, and we're going to focus on the question stem, which says, what effect do the phrases breezily to myself and all in a day's work have on the reader's understanding of the author? Select all that apply. So again, let's go through our step-by-step process. We're going to focus on the question stem, and then we're going to try to understand the implied meaning. So anytime you see those quotation marks, as I do my air quotes, that's a hint, just like we had in a previous example, that the writer of this question is trying to give you. So think to your mind, breezily to myself and all in a day's work. If you can think back in your mind to bring in some context clues, what do some of those words remind you of? Breezily, right? Think of the word all in a day's work. We've heard that expression a lot, right? If we're working hard on something and we say, well, that's all in a day's work. So keep that all in your mind. Then we're going to look at the answers they have here to try to eliminate the distractors. We're going to look for the synonyms and related concepts. And lastly, we're going to look for the evidence first and answer. So this is a tricky one, I have to say, and I picked it intentionally because if you notice here for letter A, B, C, D, E, and F, all of them start off with the same answer stem. It reveals the author as someone, right? You see that almost on all of them, right? And your mind's trying to think, what's the pattern? What is this author trying to tell us? What does breezily to myself mean? What does all in a day's work mean? And on these tests, a lot of times there might be passages prior to this, or they just might pull out a quote like this and you have to figure it out. So then I would work towards encouraging students to look for the synonyms and related concepts. Spend some time, pause this video, read through every single one of these answer choices, and see if you can find some type of relationship. For example, it says in the first one, it reveals the author as someone with a sense of humor because she makes light of performing difficult tasks. How about B? It reveals the author as someone who's capable of achieving major goals, no matter how challenging they are. Letter C, it reveals the author as someone who's capable of downplaying major events despite how difficult they might be. Letter D, it reveals the author as someone with a sense of arrogance by speaking of challenges as if they are nothing to her. E, it reveals the author as someone who is capable of exaggerating events, making them seem more difficult than they are. And F, it reveals the author as someone who uses sarcasm to express the frustration she feels about the expectations placed on her. So again, you want to go back and see, okay, which of these answers, if you're having a hard time with the quotation, a breeze lead to myself and all in a day's work, which of these answer choices are similar? And that might help you find the correct answers that I've shown in this slide. It's A, C, and E. She has a sense of humor. She's downplaying these major events and she's exaggerating. Okay. And again, if you remember from our previous examples, we want to get rid of those distractors. For B, they were kind of trying to get you distracted and seeing that she's able to reach a goal no matter what the challenge. And D is very similar. See the word challenges used twice for letter D. It says, speaking of challenges, see B and D are very similar, letting us know that's really something that she's not that good at. And then F is her frustration. And we really don't get that because if you're breezily to yourself and you say something's all in a day's work, it's meant to be a sense of humor. Now, I get it for this example, especially on the test, it might not be as obvious as the camping trip or the pets one, but as more and more as you practice and definitely use the resources that we have to help you practice these questions more, your mind will start to pick up on these patterns and you're able to use the skill like that fourth one, look for the synonym. What does breezily mean? That's kind of that having that sense of humor, being a little bit exaggerating on things. And of course, using that evidence first and then getting to the answer. As always, everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning into our videos. Please be sure to continue your studies and know that everyone at Sequoia Grove believes in you, and we're here to help you in any way that we can. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email, and I'll be happy to help you. I'm cheering you on, so keep up the good work and be sure to tune into our other videos in this series. Take care, everyone, and stay well.